everybody. Taking a step closer to the weekend. Welcome to Scott Fox After 9, and today is Friday. That means it is a listener DMs episode. I'm going to get to those in just a sec, but before I do, yesterday I asked the question, I wonder how many people are listening right to the end, and I dropped a little Easter egg at the end of yesterday's episode. If you didn't hear it, go back and give it a listen, because it's a good one. For those who did hear it, and I am pleasantly surprised to say there was quite a few that messaged me about it, thank you. I'm very excited. I'll tell you what I can tell you on Tuesday. That's going to be a great day, though. And with that behind us, let's get into the listener DMs. As always, we'll bring in the great Anna Almeida. How are you, Anna?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Did you hear yesterday's episode?
Well, now I understand, because there are a few DMs here that bring up exactly that Easter egg that you're mentioning.
Oh, so it is going to come up on this episode. All right.
Yes.
All right. I like that.
Yes.
Hey, before we get into it, this week I tried to vary up things a little bit because I know that there's some stories that need to be covered, particularly the Epstein files, but I also know that it's really heavy. So I tried to mix it up a little bit this week. If I did a heavier episode, I would follow it up with a lighter episode. And I think that's just good for balance. Mm-hmm. And I know that people don't want to be beat over the head with some of the negative news that's out there right now. But I did have to cover the Epstein stuff, and it was hard. And ever since then, that's all I get in my timeline is Epstein stuff. I got to figure out a way to reset my algorithm because it is brutal.
Start talking to your phone. Bunnies, dogs, food.
That's not a bad idea. What's your take on things that have come out so far? Have you been following it, or have you been intentionally ignoring it?
No, I've been following it. I find it incredibly terrible, disgusting. Why haven't there been any arrests made? Obviously, the information's there, allegedly, but come on, the information's there. The proof is there for the most part. So I'm not sure what else we're waiting for. So I don't like the images I've been seeing have been terrible. And I'm happy to see that the former prince is being really hung out there, because he deserves to be stones thrown at him, honestly.
Well, the thing here is, in North America, a lot of people they either hate Trump and they're looking for anything in there to implicate Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Or they want everybody taken down, like all of Hollywood. And a lot of Hollywood doesn't appear in the Epstein files per se. But we know they're into something. And now people are starting to realize, wait a second, it's completely naive to assume there was just one Epstein Island and one Jeffrey Epstein. There are others out there who are doing the exact same thing, and the Hollywood connection is probably going to come in there. So it may seem like we got all the documents. I don't even think we're close. Like, no. I think if they really start peeling back the layers, they're going to find just a rot out of California, Hollywood specifically, that is going to shake people. I mean, what they've been doing, the amount of kids that have gone missing, it's just crazy.
It's sickening. And just even the celebs, like the Jay-Z's that have been named in these files, just things like that. And I love Ricky Gervais, because he called it out a long time ago when he was at the Golden Globes. He said it and nobody wanted to hear it, but he was bang on and we knew, and everybody laughed it off like it was nothing, but he was ahead of the time.
A lot of people have known for a long time, and there's really a couple different paths. Number one, you can either join in and be part of it, or you can know what's going on, but shut your mouth. Or you can try and expose what's going on, and that's the end of your career, possibly the end of your life. And it seems like there are some celebrities who lost their lives because they were about to go public. Some of the ones that were labeled just a freak accident, car crashes, right, things like that. There were Hollywood celebrities that were taken out because they were going to expose what was going on.
I totally believe that. The conspiracies are there. The truth is really what it's pointing in those directions. I don't think we should look the other way. I'm happy they're starting to release more and more, but I want to see some more action be taken now that we have this information at our fingertips.
You and I had an interesting conversation on our radio show today on Light 92. Something that the skiers over at the Olympics are doing, and I didn't know this was a thing. And I want to put this out there with the disclaimer. I'm not encouraging you to do this. But I also want to fully acknowledge that once I tell you this, you may be interested in doing it. And if you do, that's 100% on you. It has nothing to do with me. I'm just passing on the story.
You just heard it here. That's it.
And the story is this. They're now investigating because a number of Olympic skiers in particular, the ones who wear those skin-tight bodysuits.
Yeah, nothing to the imagination is left with those outfits, let me tell you.
You know what, though, in fairness, because, yeah, when they wear these outfits, you can see the outline of their privates. In fairness, I see women like that every day wearing tights to the office, and you can see just about everything.
Yeah.
I think we're just there now as a society. As weird as it is, I think we're there.
Yeah, we've been there. I mean, the yoga pants have been something that people have been wearing for a long time, but I think it's when it's on a platform like the Olympics and the competing, they have to wear those clothing because it's aerodynamic. The less, the better, and you'll get the results you want.
What they're doing is they are injecting hyaluronic acid into their penises.
Legitimately, that's what they're doing so they can gain a few.
I know that this sounds completely if you just hearing this for the first time, I know that sounds crazy, but full credit to these skiers, because I wouldn't have thought of them as academics per se. They seem like they're just good athletes, but somehow they figured out that if you inject hyaluronic acid into your penis, it will give you several centimeters more in girth. And the reason that this is important for skiers is because if they can more fill out that area down there in their suit, it makes them more aerodynamic. The wind blows right off the suit. But if they have any baggy areas, it doesn't do that. It actually slows them down. So if they can engorge their penises a little, it makes them faster.
It's all for the gold medal, really. At the end of the day, you do what you need to do. But how did you know that that's how you could add a few down there with hyaluronic acid? I've never once thought about anything like that. I've put it on my face countless times. I do it almost every day. But to insert it into your penis to gain a few, I mean, hey, that gold medal, I hope it works out for you.
They say it lasts for 18 months.
That's incredible. Whoa, that's nice. Good for you then. I think this is such a funny story. Like, wow, are you always this large? No, just for 18 months. My hyaluronic acid really works.
I just, I can't help but think there's going to be people out here listening right now that have never even skied that are thinking, I could do with a couple extra centimeters.
Yeah. And you could buy hyaluronic acid over the counter. That's the other thing.
I don't know if it's the same hyaluronic acid, though, that you would put in a syringe and inject into your penis.
Oh, I don't know. There are different versions of hyaluronic acid, and there are expensive ones and not so expensive. So to each their own. But again, is that something you even ask your doctor about? Like, hello, doctor?
I think if I bring this up to my doctor, she's going to laugh me out of her office.
Yeah, just like I'm laughing. But, oh, man, the things you'll do to win a gold medal. But also, you'll look so great in that suit.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Right?
It's a good
like,
visual.
I definitely look, for sure.
Yeah.
I'll be vain, and I'll say it.
All right, Anna, let's get to the listener DMs that have come in this week from the different topics that came up, and let's have a little bit of fun here on a Friday.
Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay, so Davin, I was listening to the listener DMs episode and the question about the GST rebate. What's crazy is that they base it on take-home pay. They use income before taxes. So some making around $70,000 only take home about $50,000, which is below the $60,000 GST cutoff. It's reckless to assume anyone over $60,000 is doing fine. I make almost $70,000 and still can't qualify for anything, and I live at home, which is pretty sad.
Wow. I think that the government, one of the biggest issues with these people, and when I say these people, I don't necessarily mean Mark Carney. One of the things that's become obvious to me lately is Mark Carney, even though I don't support him politically or agree with him ideologically, he seems like a very competent man. He seems like, even though I don't agree with the direction he's taking the country, he at least seems to have a plan and be a smart guy. It doesn't change the fact that the people sitting behind him are a bunch of morons in a lot of cases. They're sneaky, they're smarmy, they're mean, and they're so disconnected from reality. I honestly don't think the people in this government are in touch with the middle class. There are people making well over $100,000 a year that are check to check right now. And they don't get that. They can't wrap their mind around that because they're all making way more than that as members of parliament, and God knows what other ways they're enriching themselves by having the position they have. I think that they truly think, well, if you make under 60, you deserve a break. And it's not a break. It's $10 a week is what it averages out to, or $10 a month or something. It's not a lot of money. It's something, though, but it's not a lot, and it's not going to fix the problem. The ones behind Carney, they don't get it. They just can't comprehend that if somebody making $100,000 could be struggling. But that's the reality of Canada right now. People that are making 70 right on that cutoff where they get cut off because they're not eligible for the rebate. I think that that's just ridiculous. The best thing the government could do, and I hope somebody who has a common sense ear in Ottawa is listening. Stop taking as much of our money as you are, whether it's in the form of taxes or interest rates or what have you. Nothing is going to change until the middle class gets more money back in their pocket. The GST rebate, it's a start, but it doesn't go nearly far enough.
That's true. Well, Allison writes, hey, Scott, question for you. What do you say to people who feel completely depressed about this country? All I see are people struggling. Alberta talking about leaving, the middle class being, Alberta leaving, talking about leaving, the middle class being ignored, and constant anger at both red and blue governments. Life just feels hopeless. I don't want Alberta to leave, but I'm scared this country is heading for a crash. And what then? What could that mean for savings and pension? I just feel lost. That's from Allison.
You know, that's one of the things that I get the most from people is I just feel like there's no hope anymore. And how sad is that the middle class has given up? They're doing everything right. They're following the law. They're paying their taxes. They're working hard and they're not getting any further ahead. And then when you hear there's provinces that are just going to up and leave. I mean, I understand that feeling of hopelessness. It feels like this isn't going anywhere. Listen, what I would tell you is, number one, trust your gut. It feels like this isn't going anywhere. It feels like we're spinning our wheels, but we're not actually going anywhere. I think we're on the wrong track right now. I think that there's a better path, and that path is to give people back more of their money. I just don't think that this government gets it. And I'm really not sure what the plan is. I don't know what the play is here. If they truly think that creating a new, this was announced yesterday by the Prime Minister's, it was actually announced by the Housing Minister. They're going to make the Canada Builds, the home building thing that they created. They're going to make that a Crown corporation. But they have zero targets for how many homes they're going to build. I really feel like they're just wasting our money right now. And we're kind of, no matter what we do, we're heading towards an inevitable. And the inevitable is it's going to be a financial catastrophe for this country. And I don't say that to pile on the bad news. It's just common sense. If you look at the amount of money coming in versus the amount of money going out, something is going to have to change. I'm calling for tax cuts, and they're going to have to raise taxes at some point soon. I just don't see a lot of positive here. And so far, I haven't been able to hear anything but platitudes from the government. They tell us, we've got the second best GDP, whatever, manufacturing outputs, job numbers. I don't believe most of those numbers anyway. And frankly, it doesn't make a difference to the middle class. And without the middle class, we're nothing. So I feel like bad news is on the way. Can you do anything about it? Yeah, become politically active. You have to. That's the only way. If you want to sit on the sidelines, fine. Nobody's going to fault you for it. But I think people need to get more politically active, and they need to start having debates, respectful debates, but they need to start convincing their neighbors, their friends, and their family that everything you see on the news is meant to present a rosy picture. But if you sift through it and watch it with a critical lens, you'll realize this isn't good. All of the financial indicators say we are in a recession, but the government won't acknowledge that we're in a recession. When you look at how trade negotiations are going with the Americans, it's not going well right now. We're setting up to sell off some of our resources. We have a EV policy that is coming in that the Prime Minister announced yesterday. That we're going to subsidize rich people buying cars again to try and get down to a net zero. As long as we're on a path to net zero with this government, that is not a path to prosperity for the middle class. It's a path to prosperity for already rich people. That's all there is to it. There's no other way to look at it. We need to take our country back, frankly, and that's going to involve citizens getting more involved, spreading the word, having these conversations in a respectful way. And we've all got to learn to do that. Social media makes it way too easy to throw out pot shots and be rude, to say things that you would never say to someone's face. Forget the social media and have these conversations in person. Slowly, Anna, I'm starting to bring my parents around. It took a hell of a long time and a lot of bite my tongue moments where I just sat there and listened to them go off on these deranged rants about the Americans and elbows up nonsense. And finally, they're starting to see the bigger picture. But I feel like they're not the only ones. More and more people, as every day goes on, that people are broke, are starting to realize, wait a second, this isn't the rosy picture that they told me it was on the news. This is actually pretty bad. We've got to start convincing more people, seniors in particular, that we're on the wrong track here. Yeah. And they won't even realize it until the house that they're banking on as a little piggy bank is worth nothing and their pension is completely devalued. That's when they're going to wake up and say, what the hell? What's this? Well, you bury your head in the sand for years and you let these policies continue going on. You enable them. People have got to come to the realization that we're on the wrong track and we really need to come up with some common sense policies to get the country back on track.
And we're going to talk about some of the things you touched on a little later. Switching gears to this one from Anonymous, they write, "Hey, Scott, can you share a message on behalf of the municipal road operations staff? This winter, harassment of road operators have been worse than usual.
What?
Across Ontario and beyond, operators are being threatened, assaulted, and verbally abused."
No. The snowplow drivers?
Yes. In my town, residents have jumped in front of plows, tried to enter operators' cabs, and even threatened to shoot an operator if he plowed again. Police confirmed the threat was unfounded. Nobody should face this. These are workers are out there keeping the road safe for everyone, including emergency vehicles. We just ask residents to be patient. Operators aren't trying to be inconvenient to anyone and don't deserve abuse.
So let me get this straight. And it's probably the same people who would complain until they're blue in the face if their road didn't get plowed. Now they're freaking out because the plow is doing its job and probably blocking in their driveway?
Yeah.
Is that where most of this comes from?
I don't know. Like, why are we even complaining? Be happy that you're not out there doing it. Somebody else is doing the job for you. Like, come on. Work with these people.
Listen, you know what, though? Why do some municipalities have the plow that drops that little blade and clears the snow from the end of your driveway, and some municipalities don't?
I don't know. I get plowed in all the time, but I'm not mad at them. They're just doing their job. I'm just frustrated that I have to, again, clean up the mess. But
pick the right person. You're looking for Mother Nature. You're not looking for the snowplow operators.
Gosh, that people are actually trying to get in their cabs and trying to assault them is just beyond.
I don't know where that comes from. It's just people are going squirrely. I mean, people are losing their minds in a lot of cases. You can see it, Anna. Like, this is a recipe for just a disaster.
People are just not in a good state. And then you add the winter months, seasonal depression onto that. It's just a whole lot.
Can I tell you, by the way, I'm glad you mentioned that. Seasonal depression is real, and I feel like it's worse this year than ever before. There are so many people feeling it, and it's a combination of we're on the longest stretch of cold weather, consecutive days, sub-zero in southern Ontario in more than a decade. And there's a serious lack of daylight. So there's no vitamin D getting pumped into people, and they're getting depressed. They're cold. They've been locked up for too long. They haven't seen the sun in ages, and seasonal affective disorder is real. Try and take steps to mitigate it, everybody. Whether it's vitamin D supplements, go to a tanning bed, do whatever you have to do, but just realize if you're not feeling right, you got to do something to try and get yourself out of that mindset. Threatening the guy who's plowing your roads, well, I mean, can we please hold a little bit of decorum?
Yeah.
Can we please stop this nonsense?
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to bring up the Epstein files. So Vicky writes, regarding your Epstein episode, thank you for talking about this. I can't believe the streets aren't full of people outraged, but you know how it goes. If they aren't being paid, they aren't protesting.
Hey, that's a fair question. You know, we have a major problem that we should all be able to agree on, in that some people in very high positions of power have used their power, money, and influence to take advantage of, and in some cases kill, children. This should be something that we're all united in. We should be demanding heads roll over this. Nobody's going out and protesting. It really does affirm that a lot of these protests that they say happened organically are paid protesters and paid agitators that went in to start it. Where's the groundswell movement over this? We should be outraged. Why are those files so redacted?
I know. Why?
We should know exactly who was trying to set these encounters up with kids. I don't think there's any reason to protect them. And you know what? In other circumstances, in other times, the public would let their will be known. But everybody's just shutting their mouth on this one. And I think part of the problem, too, is at the heart of most of our issues, the mainstream media. Where's the coverage from them? Where's their investigative journalists that are demanding accountability from the people who we know did things? There's nothing. They're silent on it. And I can't figure out why, unless they've been told to be silent on it.
Well, Brian writes, with all the Epstein crap, we owe Alex Jones an apology. He called this years ago.
There's a lot of people that used to be labeled conspiracy theorists. They were right. There's no other way to look at it. They were right. I'll give Joe Rogan credit. Again, second day in a row, I'm giving Joe some props here on my podcast. Joe Rogan spoke to Alex Jones years ago, and Alex Jones tried to convince Joe Rogan that Epstein Island was real and tell them what they were up to. And everybody thought it was crazy because it's such a preposterous suggestion. Like, it's just so out there. that the average person still can't wrap their mind around the fact that there were rich, wealthy, elite people who weren't just doing inappropriate things sexually to kids and minors. It wasn't just that. These are, they're members of a cult in a lot of cases. Yeah. They drink blood. They eat humans.
It's horrible.
You know, and I know it sounds completely ridiculous. And anybody who brought this up years ago, you did label them a conspiracy theorist. You said they were crazy. Alex Jones in particular. He was right. He was telling us this years ago, and we would rather shout him down and just go with the flow than take a second and ask, well, wait a second, does that add up? Maybe a lot of these Epstein victims wouldn't have been victims if we would have paid attention years ago when people tried to warn us that this was going on. It's not just rich people either. Highly connected politicians implicated in the Epstein papers. You know what? Do a little search. What is the accusation against George Bush? What does it say George Bush did in the Epstein files? Google it, everybody. This was the president of the United States.
It's really sad. It's just sad. Honestly.
I know. And I can't believe I'm sitting here talking about this normally. We've been hearing about this for a long time, but we were just programmed to say, oh, that's terrible. That could never happen. What? Not only could it, it was and still is.
Yeah.
There's other Epstein Islands. There's not necessarily an island in the Caribbean, but this stuff is still going on.
Well, human trafficking is a huge thing. And it's only been in the last 15 years I've heard the phrase human trafficking more than I've ever heard before. Before, it was just like a child goes missing and everybody search and Amber Alerts and all that. But now there's just like, this is substantial information that is out there. We should be pissed off.
The most compelling number, I think, Anna, that I heard was, and this goes back to the work that Trump was doing at the border. And the border folks have recovered more than 100,000 missing children out of 300,000. Oh. This is real. Yeah. And you know, I don't know. Everybody eventually is going to come to the realization that this was true. Some people aren't there yet. And that's part of the reason that I'm not talking about this as much as some people want me to. Some people need to realize slowly and come to the conclusion on their own. Yes, that was true. I'm not going to beat people over the head with it, but I am going to say you should totally look into this because we have every right as a society to be angry. We've been lied to. Was that Joe Biden running America for 4 years? Because there's a lot of indication that that was somebody wearing a mask. And you don't have to look very far on social media. It's in the Epstein files. They said that's not Biden. Biden died in 2019. That's an actor wearing a mask. That fits very well with that auto pen thing scandal. Biden never signed any of those laws. It was an auto pen that did it. Like, all these things slowly are going to start to add up for people, and they're going to start to realize that everything we thought was true wasn't true.
That's the scary part. What we thought was true wasn't true. But that's why it's important to always get a second opinion and ask questions so you know, so you're well informed. And that goes for anything and everything that you're going through in your lifetime, honestly. Thank you for covering that. Truly, it's good.
A lot of people, I get nervous about doing those conspiracy theory episodes. Because I don't want to feed into mis or disinformation. That's not what I try and do on this pod. But either way, you can't deny anymore. There's 3 million pages that just dropped, plus the hundreds of thousands of pages that came out earlier. We know that this was going on. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore. This is a confirmed fact that they were doing it. So what else is true? Which other conspiracy theories are true? I'm going to do it on a case-by-case basis, and I need to see some very compelling evidence before I come to the audience with it. But, Anna, it seems like a lot of the stuff that we were told, write it off, that person is crazy. They weren't so crazy, and the information they were trying to tell us years ago was true.
I'd rather come off as crazy than complacent, honestly.
That's a good way to put it. That's a really good way to put it.
That's what I would rather be. Known for that. All right. Well, Mark says, hey, maybe the Americans hired a Canadian artist due to the fact that they're worried that some of the American artists might be involved in the Epstein files. If they don't want that to come back on them, maybe a joke, maybe not. But I love that they came to a Canadian and obviously we're talking about Tate McRae here, to promote their American team.
I was surprised at the amount of people that wanted to weigh in on the Tate McRae scandal. So this person is suggesting it's safer to use a Canadian because half of Hollywood, most of the singers there are implicated in some way in the Epstein files, whether as a victim or a perpetrator.
Yeah, but Canadians are also named in it too. So
some,
more
yeah.
Americans, but still some. So then you actually have a few Tate McRae mentions here. Bill writes, "Hey Scott, love the podcast. Just a heads up regarding Tate McRae and the U.S. men's hockey team. Her boyfriend, allegedly boyfriend, Jack Hughes, is on the team. Makes even more of a no-brainer to do the ad. Have a good one."
Is she dating Jack Hughes?
They've been spotted out in New York together, but
so
nothing confirmed.
Dating.
Nothing confirmed. But yeah, they've been seen together.
Okay. Yeah, I have no problem with Tate McRae doing this. I know some people do. Some of our colleagues, I think you know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
I was with him last night. He thinks this is totally un-Canadian of Tate McRae to do it. And I think he's crazy. I mean, you can't say what she has to do to put food on her table.
Exactly. I think she got paid. I would have done it too, man. Show me the money.
100%. But back to that person's other point about the rest of Hollywood being implicated. I'm not saying the rest of Hollywood is implicated or will be, but there's some gross stuff that happened in Hollywood. They didn't necessarily fly to Epstein Island to do it, but Google Bohemian Grove.
Okay.
Google Bohemian Grove. Just Google it and enjoy what comes up.
Gosh.
Alex Jones tried to expose that a long time ago, too.
My gosh. And I remember there was a video, whether it's real or not, I don't know, about a woman and speaking Spanish and kind of divulging some of the stuff that's now been listed in the Epstein files. And I saw that video years ago and it's resurfaced and nobody knows whatever happened to that woman.
Everybody said, oh, it's just some crazy lady freaking out. Is she possessed?
About?
Is she on drugs?
Yes.
Yeah. That video is still circulating around.
I just saw it again and I remember seeing that years ago. And then now I'm like, oh my gosh, she was right. What are you going to do? See? Talk about it. Get the messaging out there. All right. Greg writes, Tate McRae is a music celebrity. I don't know or care that she was Canadian before I heard about the controversy over the ad. I still don't care. Good for her for getting paid. Everybody's got to eat. People complaining about her principles can pound sand. Would any of the workers getting laid off right now turn down paycheck if they were offered one? Once again, the liberals in this country all seem to be elbows down, asses up. That's from Greg.
That's a harsh way to put it, but
he went for it.
Yeah, he did. Hey, again, I'll just put a bow on this. I have no problem with what Tate McRae did. That's her living, that's her occupation, that's her career, and she's doing what she knows how to do. She's using what she's got to make money, and I don't blame her for doing that. I don't think Tate McRae did anything wrong just because she has a Canadian passport that she appeared in an ad for the American Olympic team. I think this is a nothing story. I think people are trying to make something out of it. And what are you going to do? You're going to cancel Tate McRae? Get out of here.
Yeah, good luck. There's better things to worry about than that. All right. So next up we have Ulysses. Jesus, that clip of Pierre talking about his Spider-Man picture he looks at every night. I switched jobs and stopped traveling for work because I didn't want to miss any more milestones. I'm a huge sucker for my son and soon to have daughter. Let's go, Pierre. Canada needs prosperity for the middle class.
I think nothing but great stuff came out of Pierre's speech at the convention last week. He did have a message of hope. And frankly, when you think about the amount of people that message me all the time telling me they're just depressed, the whole country feels like it's upside down. For somebody to come out and realize that, acknowledge that, and try and offer a little bit of hope, I think that's great. And I think that's what we need right now. A little bit of hope, a little bit of positivity. I like that message. Hey, we were at one point, not that long ago, an absolutely incredible country, a powerhouse of a country. And when Justin Trudeau got elected, it put us on a path to where we are now. But we can still pull it out. Everyone, we can still fix this country. There's work to be done, but we can fix it. We've started repealing some of the 9 bad laws. That's what Danielle Smith in Alberta calls it. We've started to undo some of that damage. Unfortunately, this prime minister is still very much committed to net zero. He's very much an environmentalist, and that's going to get in the way of prosperity. We can't let that happen. We've got to take back our country. And I think every day, people are looking for hope. They're looking for signs that things are getting better. And whether they are or aren't, it's nice to know that somebody at least has a plan. And when people finally realize that what we're doing is not the right way to do it, then at least we know we've got an alternative who does have a plan and is offering hope. That's what people need right now is hope.
Well, hope is mentioned in this next one. Matt, hey, Scott, I was listening to today's pod and just finished part of Pierre's speech about his kids, followed by you talking about your son. And I had to pause it with tears in my eyes to write this. My 3-year-old son loves monster trucks and gave me a mini version of his favorite to keep in my work truck. It's been on my dash for the last 8 months. And every time I see it, I think of him and all my kids. And it reminds me why I do this. Pierre's speech gave me hope, and I hope it did for others too, even liberal voters. He feels like a regular guy who understands the middle class and wants the best for Canadians, not just the wealthy elite. That's from Matt.
Matt, that's a good message. Thank you. And very similar to the last one as well. I don't need to relitigate that. I think everybody knows that I support Pierre Poilievre. I have for a very long time. And I'm glad that he's pivoted more to a message of hope, because I think that's the right message. And I think that's what the country needs right now.
More of a connection. Yeah. And Terry writes, Scott, great pod on Monday regarding Pierre's leadership race. It was hopeful and inspiring. Now, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but China did interfere in our election once, and the big man in Ottawa just got in bed with them. Am I the only one thinking, what are the odds that we have a fair election and Pierre pulls this off? I hope it happens. I want it to happen, but I also want the Leafs to win a Stanley Cup. And at the end of the day, I'm a realist, and I'll believe it when I see it.
You'll have a conservative government before you have a Leaf Stanley Cup team. I'll tell you that.
You have to laugh because it's true. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not in dispute. We know it's a fact. China interfered in our election, and they blew us off when we tried to raise questions about that. Like, what do you mean they interfered in our elections? All they would say is it didn't affect the outcome, so it's fine, and they swept it under the rug. They have no way of knowing that. That interference affects, they said, oh no, it didn't affect the outcome. It was only in a couple of ridings. Yeah, but people don't go by ridings. People talk to other people in other ridings. Word starts to spread. If you give this person some bad information on that candidate, and then it starts to circulate around, bam, you may have affected few thousand people. And the influence of one person can reach thousands with social media. Some of these ridings were decided by 10 votes, 50 votes, 100 votes. That could have completely changed the outcome of the election. It's not even scientific to claim that it couldn't have interfered with the outcome of the election. That's nonsense. China interfered. Now we've got a prime minister who has always been loyal to China, who now has done a deal with China. That's got to be well, I know it's a major red flag for the Americans. The Americans are not happy at all. How can we protect our elections? There's some simple things we can do. We can start with enforcing the rules. The rules need to be followed. And by the way, if you're concerned about election interference, here's my challenge to you. When we do have a vote, you have to volunteer. You need to step up on election day and even leading up to the election. It's not just about knocking on doors and handing out flyers. Parties need scrutineers. You could be a scrutineer. And what that means is you're going to sit there. And if a vote comes in, you're going to look at the vote. And if it seems legit, okay, great. That's a vote. Count it for whatever candidate. If there is any irregularities, you need to scrutinize that. You need to challenge that. We need scrutineers at every single polling station across the country challenging the votes that come in that don't seem legit. When they do that middle of the night dump of votes that came in from overseas voters, they've got to be heavily scrutinized. Voting machines. Hey, these voting machines. I'm not going to say anything because they're actually suing people that try and claim the voting machines are rigged. So I'm not going to say that. But what I will say is it makes perfect sense to count the ballots by hand as well. The voting machines, they'll tabulate them up real quick. Fine. We all know machines, though, can make mistakes. Those votes need to be counted by hand and they need to be scrutinized. We need volunteers at every single polling station when we have an election. It's the only way to even have a sense that we had a fair vote.
All right. Well, Jason writes, Scott, I love the diversity of content you bring to the pod. 2026 is going to be a huge year for you, I'm sure. I also wanted to mention Carney's speech that felt ripped straight from Justin Trudeau, especially when he stumbled in Parliament saying 11 million, oops, 12 million people would be affected by the grocery rebate. It's frustrating to still hear about Canadians aged 18 to 22 putting their trust in the Liberals. Many don't know what having it good really means. Enjoy the weekend, and I can't wait for Tuesday's announcement. The first of mentions for Tuesday.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, you can't change somebody's mind. Some people have got their mind made up, and whether they're informed or not, whether they're right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. Everybody's entitled to make their decision and cast their vote appropriately. That's just a fact. Some people are going to vote and will disagree with the way they voted, but that's part of being a democracy is everybody gets a vote. But you only get one. And you only get one. And I want to stress that. When it comes to young people, I don't know many young people that are voting Liberal. I don't hear from them. Maybe they just don't listen to my pod or me personally. I never hear from them. I, though, realize that the senior citizens is a big cohort. That's a big problem. Huge. There's a lot of people who've been programmed to think conservative is bad. Liberal is good. And that's the way they've set it up on the news for years. Good versus evil. That's not what this is. This is about common sense versus not common sense. And you've got to ask yourself, are you any better off now than you were? We had an election a year ago. Did your life get any better? Think back, 3 years when we voted before that? 2 years? Is your life any better since then? Is your life any better since 2015 when Justin Trudeau took over? Prior to that, we were cooking, Anna. Do you remember the good old days? You know, those late 2000s when the country was booming. Mm-hmm. You know, we had investment coming in and we didn't have to worry about our paychecks not going far enough. We didn't have unmanageable debts. Like everything was great.
I bought a home then.
A lot of people did. And now that home that at one point, not that long ago, was at record value is dropping like a rock. The problem is most people aren't going to get angry until it affects them personally. And when that happens, look out, because they're going to be angry as hell. But unfortunately for these seniors, two things are going to happen before they finally wake up and realize, hey, maybe we're on the wrong path and maybe everything they tell you on the news isn't exactly accurate. When their house becomes worthless and when their pension is basically worthless as well. That's when they're going to realize, but by then it's too late. I just wish they would look down the line, or maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't think they're going to be alive for very much longer and they're just going to do whatever they want. They don't want to know. Everybody's got to start paying attention. Home values are dropping like crazy. The market's not looking good. There's not a lot of good news coming out financially right now. And there's a reason for that. It's inflationary spending. People don't have any money. They're broke. Interest rates are too high. We all know what the problem is. Just there's no desire to fix anything. If you take comfort in seeing the Prime Minister come out and announce a new Crown Corporation that's going to build all of Canada's new homes, but they can't even tell you what the target is for homes to build, you should be deeply skeptical. When they tell you we are going back to net zero, you should be deeply skeptical because, again, the argument hasn't changed. No matter how much you pay in tax, you're not going to change the weather. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact. Everybody's got to start realizing these things and they'll come to the conclusion. I firmly believe that eventually we'll be able to look back on this time and think, wow, that was bad, but we saved our country. It's just a matter of how much damage we're going to have done before people come to that conclusion. Hopefully you've still got a pension. Hopefully your home isn't worthless and you don't have a mortgage with negative equity. But that's where this is going, everyone, just so you know.
All right. Well, Rosanna writes, please, in capitals, tell us you're running for Burlington mayor. I can't wait until Tuesday, but praying until then.
Burlington needs a new mayor. Desperately. The city of Burlington is, in my estimation, one of the greatest cities in the country. And it is so underrated because it's in the shadow of Toronto. But it is a beautiful city with great people, a nice diversity with a wide range of services and businesses. And, you know, it's just a great example of how great a Canadian city could be that is being completely mismanaged in every which way and with a government that just does not understand what a budget means or how to stick to it. Raising taxes like crazy to fund pet projects and to paint intersections rainbow colors and all these sort of things. Buses running around 24/7 or close to it that are completely empty. It is a waste of people's money. Burlington needs a new mayor so desperately. It's just got to get done this October. The mayor who was basically, you couldn't find her for 3 years But as soon as we got into an election year, bam, she's out everywhere all of a sudden. I hope people realize that and remember that. And by the way, it's not just the mayor. A lot of councillors in Burlington, they got to go too. I got to do something for the folks that listen to me in Burlington, because I got to organize this and try and get some common sense restored to government in this city. It's too good a city to let this keep happening. And I have a feeling it's like that in every city. Municipal politics are important. We don't pay attention to it that much, but it has a direct impact on your bottom line and the services you have available in your city. Things are getting too expensive because they're being run by, you can insert your own adjective there, but they're being run by those people and they're not very good at their job. They're not good with money. They don't care that that money comes from taxpayers who worked their back off to try and pay their taxes and fund a city worth living in. They just don't care. They have no respect for taxpayer money. A lot of cities need a new mayor, and hopefully we go that way in the fall.
All right. Well, Jackie writes, "Hey, Scott, keep up the great work with the pod. I just have a question. If the government is aligned to delete emails so quickly, what are they hiding? Don't they work for us? Why can't we fire them? And also, if there were to be an election right now, who do you think would likely win?"
We could fire them anytime. We just had an election less than a year ago. That was your chance to fire them, and you didn't. The electorate didn't. Well, maybe they did. I don't know if that was a fair election either, to be perfectly honest with you. But in the last election, a lot of things came up and people voted out of fear. And they voted for something that was familiar. And the NDP completely collapsed in the last election. People were all too happy to take out their aggression on Jagmeet Singh because Trudeau pulled the chute and we didn't get a chance to vote out Trudeau. So people took it out on Singh. And that was the reason that Mark Carney is sitting in the Prime Minister's office right now. That was it. That was the reason. Plus some tactics from Donald Trump. Him inserting himself into our election, that didn't help either. The next opportunity to vote, I think it's going to happen this spring. I honestly think we're going to have a spring election. And if we do, that's your next chance to fire these people. What was the other question?
Yeah, the elections, and what else are they hiding? Because they all came together to delete emails.
You know, this government, because people aren't paying attention and the news will not cover the important stuff that people should absolutely know, especially people that pretend they care about democracy. Two things in particular. This government is giving themselves powers to exempt any company from any law with the exception of the criminal code. Why would they do that? And what are they up to? What is the real reason that they want that power? They've also given themselves the ability to delete their text messages and emails after 30 days. I think they should never, ever be deleted. They should be archived in the cloud and added to our national archive forever, in all perpetuity. These people should know if you're working for us and you're doing business on behalf of the Canadian government, that's fair game. There is no privacy there. You get a massive salary, and part of that is for accountability. Deleting your messages after 30 days? How many people at work go into their office and after 30 days delete anything that's more than 30 days old because they don't want someone else to see it? You can't do that. Your company would fire you in a second if you were doing company business and started deleting your emails and text messages. We can't let our government do that either, but they've given themselves the power to do it. All these things, while we're distracted with housing announcements and we're distracted with more drama with Donald Trump and, oh, shit, what are we going to do with Greenland? All that sort of thing. These are the kind of laws that they're passing. And it's not a conspiracy theory. It's true. Google it. Check it out. This is happening. And the media is letting them get away with it.
Okay, so you kind of touched on this next one, but it would be interesting to see maybe more of an elaboration from Anonymous. Late last year, you were talking about the possibility about coming out with some resources for people who are interested in running against local municipal ridings, including, I think you called a playbook with how we can stand up with some common sense policies. Is that still in the works?
Yep.
Thanks, Scott, and keep fighting the good fight.
Thank you. Yes, for those who are interested in getting rid of the local politicians that you have, and there are some mayors and chairs and municipal councillors that have got to go, that don't get it, that are taking a check and taking advantage of the taxpayers, and they're not making your city any better. They're just making your city more expensive. They've got to go. So my thought is, if regular people become empowered and say, you know what? I'm not going to sit on the sidelines anymore. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to run. I'm going to stand in front of the people in my community. I'm going to ask them for their vote, and I'm going to go to City Hall or to Queen's Park or to the House of Commons, and I'm going to try and make a difference. Good. I will absolutely help you. So what I've got is I've had some great conversations with some municipal politicians and with mayors, ones that I think get it. And what we're doing is we're putting together, right now it's just a brainstorming session that we're infrequently involved in a group chat. But I'm going to put together some resources so that A, you understand when your papers have to be filed and what goes into it. B, you understand how much money it's going to cost to run, because there is a cost to it. You're going to need to collect some signatures in your local community. And I'm going to help you develop a platform that I think should be in effect all across Ontario. I'm absolutely going to do that. And part of it, by the way, is we're going to start treating our city and municipal workers better. Earlier, we heard about the snowplow operators that are being harassed and threatened. That's not okay. Not okay at all. We're going to do something for the staff. I'll tell you that. That's just part of it. We're also going to cut taxes, and property taxes are going to be based on a very arbitrary thing. You live in a condo, you pay this much. You live in a townhouse, you pay this much. Single car garage, you pay this much. Double car garage, you pay this much. Anything over that, then we get into the MPAC municipal assessments area. Everybody's going to have predictable taxes that are going to be locked in. And there's also going to be a requirement that governments can't raise your taxes without a referendum. I promised that a year ago when I offered to run against Mark Carney for the Liberal leadership. I promised that, and I still believe that that's important. No tax increases without the consent of the taxpayers. And if they want to raise your taxes and you, the voters, say no, then they've got to go back and figure out where to get the money from. They can cut a program, or they can just scrap this idea altogether. If it's a good idea and it's good for the community and you put up a compelling argument, the taxpayers will support it. But if you just want to screw around and waste our money, then no, we're not going to support it, and you have to figure out a different way. And once we do that, once we put just a little bit of a handcuff on these politicians, you watch how quickly they start changing their attitude and start wanting to work with citizens. Because right now, it's very much do as I say, not as I do. It's a top-down approach where they just tell people how things are going to be. We've had enough. The citizens are not going to do that anymore.
Okay, so
I am working on that, but don't expect that till after Easter.
Okay, April. All right. Well, I'm going to break up this last one into two parts, and you'll understand why. So the first one is from this first part from Jesse, writes, I've always had an issue with cops, probably from my protest days and listening to Rage Against the Machine. My main problem has always been corrupt cops and abuse of power. I used to believe that until good cops stood up to bad cops, they were all the same. With that mindset, I want to tip my hat off to every officer involved in arresting these bad cops. If I see more of this, I'm willing to change my opinion.
Well done. Well done. You know what? What the Toronto cops that are implicated in this scandal did completely undermined public trust. It put it cast a negative light and shadow over top of the good cops who are out there doing this job for the right reason. They need to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. They need to go to jail for a long time. Here's the thing. Shocking that the chief of police in Toronto has still not stepped down. I cannot believe Myron Demkew is still the chief of police in Toronto. It's crazy. And how many more are there? Oh. You arrested 7. There are thousands of Toronto cops. You mean you got the only 7? Are you watching others? How deep does this rot go? We need to start making everybody, not just politicians. I talk about politicians a lot in the pod, but everybody who's in a position of trust. We need to start expecting more. And frankly, if you're corrupt, you're going to jail. And that's just all there is to it. The public cannot be lied to. We're the ones funding this entire operation. We need to expect better. And cops that undermine the public trust, yep, I agree with that person completely. Good on you for arresting a fellow cop. That probably took some courage. Let's not stop there. Arrest them all. Anybody who is corrupt, who is trying to use their position to get ahead, screw them. Send them to jail. All of them.
Yeah, you'll be popular there. Anyways, the next part of this from Jesse writes, and as for Tuesday, holy crap, sign me up. Need a street team, door knockers, cabinet members, doesn't matter, I'm in.
I am going to need all of those things, actually,
That's what
friends.
I wanted to end on.
Love
all
it.
right.
Hey, Anna, thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Always interesting to hear what your people have to say.
Yeah, I missed you last week. You weren't here because you were getting LASIK done.
Yes, it's been quite the journey.
It's weird to look at you without glasses.
Aren't I more pretty? Gosh, I'm such a vision. It is weird to not have glasses. I find that I'm still reaching for them. And you've been such a good support system because honestly, I thought I'd wake up Friday morning and I wouldn't have the irritation, the headaches, and the things I've been dealing with. But you've said, Anna, calm down. You had major eye surgery, so this is going to happen. It's going to take time. So I appreciate that.
It will take time. But are you noticing a difference? Are you happy you did it?
Yeah, I can see across the street. No more of my foggy glasses. And I can lay on the couch and watch TV without my glasses piercing the side of my cheek. It's like the little things make such a big difference. It's unbelievable. It's a brand new world.
Good for you. I'm glad you got that done. No regrets. Would you recommend it?
Yes, highly recommend to anybody because the amount that I've spent on contact solution, traveling, worrying that I'm going to lose this or that, broken glasses, fixed glasses, this is in the end so much better, cheaper on the pocket, and you get beautiful vision. 2020 now.
Fantastic.
Thank you. He said it was actually better than 2020, but I like to win.
Good for you. Have a great weekend, everybody. There is another episode of Scott Fox After 9 coming on Monday. I did mention a couple other episodes at the beginning of this one. If you want to hear the Epstein episode, that was out Monday. If you just want a good pick-me-up and to feel good about where Canada could be and the possibilities that are in front of us, listen to Monday's episode. That is when I played back just the highlights, the Coles notes from Pierre Poilievre's speech at the Conservative Convention. All this week, I've had some interesting stuff going on. Yesterday, the Thursday episode, I was talking to my friend Jack at PointsBet Canada about odds for Super Bowl betting. Biggest sports gambling day of the year this weekend for Super Bowl, Anna.
I believe it. Go Bad Bunny.
Are you actually looking forward to Bad Bunny?
Yeah, I am. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know his songs, but I think it's going to be an interesting show. I really just like seeing the creativeness of the halftime performances. That's really, for me, I love music and I love artistry, so I like to see how they bring everybody in. That's what it is. This
is going to be the last Super Bowl halftime show as we've come to know them lately, because there's just not a chance in hell that they're going to continue working with Jay-Z after they get through this one. In fact, I think the NFL is thanking God right now that they made it this far and didn't have to cancel or change the halftime show. But Jay-Z is in for a very interesting year.
Yeah.
And if you know, you know.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who do.
You know.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Great talking to you. I'm going to leave you with my friend Pat James and the band The Whole Truth. The song is called Hey Now. Let's talk again on Monday. Oh,